Thank you. Yeah, nice to be here. I'm kind of excited to get out and have a little bit of a look around. I haven't really seen any of the proper cosplay or anything. I'll go out and look, which is always the best thing about.
There's a lot of Casimas walking around, actually.
Are there? That's what Jordan was saying today. He said there's going to be loads of Casimas.
Yeah,
dying to see them.
So, what are you allowed to talk about for this next season? It's crazy.
Well, we made a season 3.
Yeah.
And we were both in it.
We were both in it. How, we can't say, but we were there. We can talk about some things.
Well, when I started watching the series, I started kind of wondering, hey, is Felix actually someone in disguise? He wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, going into the 3rd series, is that something that we actually have to worry about, or is Felix really on?
If it is something to worry about, I'm not aware of it. But at the same time, we've also had many conversations where if one of us does turn out to be, I love that expression, a wolf in sheep's clothing, we don't want to know. I wouldn't want to know, because then it would end up affecting how I would love the idea of having that revelation come later and getting to go back and say, oh my God, and he was pretending this entire time. I don't want to say that's happening. I have no idea. As far as I know, that's not happening. But it's Orphan Black. Anything. I didn't think we were going to have male clones at the end of season 2 either.
Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah.
Are we going to find out anything about where your allegiances lie at all during this next season? Is it going to be? Yeah.
I think that she always makes decisions from a really strong point. She doesn't make them without really thinking them through, but she does feel that sometimes the end justifies the means, and she's always done them from a place of protecting her family initially, but the family itself has changed so much, and some of the decisions maybe were not the best ones. I think you get to see another side of her, which is that you get to see her be a bit vulnerable. You haven't seen that before. You get to see her, she's nurturing, or she's tough, or she's certainly badass. She's certainly able to wield a weapon and protect people. But I think you get to see her doubt herself, or question herself is better, I think. And I think that's really interesting as well. Another interesting part to a complicated person, that they do. It's not all lighter shade or action or that there's doubt as well. So it was great.
I love that theme too with her. The idea of it's not always what she does and how she operates isn't always necessarily moral, but she's always trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Trying for the right thing for who, we're not entirely sure, but.
So what do you know about Mr. S and with her children, because she's so fiercely maternal, and that drives a lot of her big kick-ass nature because she's so fierce about the family. But what about her own kids? Does she ever try to have them? Do you know any of that?
I can tell you that you will learn more about Mr. S in season 3. Yeah, some more parts of how they got to where they are. Some more parts of the backstory are explained and looked at a little bit. I think that's really interesting as well. Sometimes it's hard to understand why a person is or acts the way they are, but if you can have a look at where they've come from, or some of the things that have been around, the way that they're formed, their behaviour becomes so much more understandable, doesn't it? Immediately it's just you can relate to their experience. You do get to see some more of that. It's great.
Is there an aspect of her that you really enjoy playing? Do you like the badass? Do you like this new vulnerability? What is it that you like the most?
I just like that she seems like a real person. She seems like she's complicated. She seems like she doesn't always get it right. I think that's one of her great strengths. That she will try. She will take on anything. She's not a. It's not that she's not afraid, but she's most certainly not a quitter. She's a survivor. I find that just really interesting and that's probably our greatest quality as human beings, that we can survive because we adapt and react to what's around us so quickly and so instinctively. So I think it's amazing just to see it, that she gets through, that you somehow, you're not sure whether you love her or you hate her sometimes, because what she does is it's not always good, you know. It's not always bad either, but it's not always good. But I also think it's good to see that she's not always right. Even the bad stuff can actually be bad sometimes. It's interesting.
Can you tell us how your relationship with being with each other, since the whole dynamics have changed throughout the first season with everything that happened, second season everything that happened. Well, because you guys were fostered, he was the foster mom. And
Yes.
Will there be a big change here in this third season? Will we see your relationship better, just change?
Deepens.
Yeah.
The relationship deepens. I don't know if better or worse. It just is. It's an entirely new shade that we haven't seen yet. The complexities of the world, I think, have grown beyond any singular management. Like Sarah can't handle what's happening with Lita and Castor and Dyad and everything. She can't handle that on her own. I think there's a lot more. There's more reliance on each other.
Yeah.
No one's really taking care of everyone. Everyone's sort of taking care of each other. And that was so great to explore. To have scenes where, like you've been talking about, there's been growth in Felix, growth in S, and that's she's seeing her kids not really as children anymore, but as autonomous adults.
Yeah, I think that's part of also doubting herself is not doubting herself, but realizing that it's not just her making decisions for small children who are unable really to contribute to those decisions because they're so huge and so enormous, and their lives depend on the decisions. Now she has to recognize and does, I think, that there are two adults and they need to be part of making the decisions upon which all of their lives depend. So I think she's trying to adjust to that and trust them. But also I think because we know each other better, I mean, it's just a very small example, but in terms of our physicality, we had one kind of sort of tender moment and in a scene, and without even thinking about it, I reached out and I grabbed Jordan's face, and I kind of grabbed his nose and touched his face. And just because we know each other so well now, I would be very comfortable to do that without saying to him beforehand, do you mind if so more play and more natural, things like that have come just because we all know each other better as real people as well as the characters.
Along the same line, obviously at the end of last season, Mrs. S really betrayed Sarah with everything that happened with Helena.
Yeah.
How is that going to play out, and how is Felix going to be kind of a middleman? Because I can't imagine, well, we've seen the episode, but we know Sarah is not going to react very well to that.
She doesn't have to go around.
Well, I think she certainly isn't going to react well, and I think that I knew that she wouldn't as I was doing it. But again, I felt that I had to do something to save her and Kira, and this was my bargaining tool. And even though it was another person, it was somebody I didn't care about as much, and that I felt I really could buy them some safety. And I think also at the time I very much knew that I was putting Felix in the middle of that he would be he would understand why I'd done it much more quickly than Sarah would. It's not his sibling after all directly, Helena isn't, but I somehow knew I was going to put him in the middle. So
thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Oh dear, I'm sorry, I rambled like mad there.